Hey everybody, this is Saline County Hardliners coming back at you again. Tonight we got another good candidate on. We had Chase McDowell on last week. This week we got an Arkansas native. I believe he's originally from Trumann, Arkansas. He's a retired 21-year veteran of the U.S. Army as a first sergeant, E8, and we're proud to have him on today, and he is running for Secretary of State of the state of Arkansas. So we welcome Bryan Norris to the show. Bryan, how you doing? Glad to see you.
Doing fantastic, Keith. Thanks so much for having me on. I appreciate it very much, and thank you for your service too with the Navy.
Yes, and thank you for your service. Yes,
go Army, beat Navy.
Yeah, great game every year. Bryan is got lots of overseas combat experience, tours of duty, served our country well, wants to continue to serve our state, and a very important role as Secretary of State. And I'm going to let him kind of talk about what brought him there and kind of what his idea is. And he, against his candidate he's running against, who is going to be a strong candidate. Bryan, you tell us about a little bit how you got where you're at.
Well, it wasn't something I planned. I wasn't looking to run for an office of this size. I was kind of torn with the idea of, maybe a state rep or maybe mayor of Batesville, because I felt like I could have some direct impact there that would affect me and my family, because there was things going on in my community and of course in the state that I didn't agree with. And if it's to be, it's up to me, right? I mean, how many times do we sit back and complain about stuff and not do anything about it? So
yeah,
I wanted to get involved. And how I first got involved was when I first retired and I was in the Republican Party committee here in Independence County. The issue of paper ballots came up. And as you know, that is unknown to me at the time, that is a very contentious issue. There's hardly no middle ground, it seems like, with anyone. And to me, that was very odd, right? Because it seemed like every elected official was for the machines. And the average American and average Arkansan up here and people I'd speak to, they wanted paper ballots. They didn't get a choice on the machines. They just showed up one day and they had to use them, right? And no one wanted to even, none of the elected officials seemed like they wanted to even entertain that idea. So the first thing I did was trying to get smart on it, find out what it was all about. And we had Colonel Conrad Reynolds come up and give a speak on it. And then I started researching and doing my due diligence. And then Colonel Reynolds was invited to be our guest speaker at our annual dinner. And it was during that dinner that he asked me if I would lead the effort in Independence County to go to paper ballots. And I said, yeah, absolutely, I will. I'll support this, because I know machines are very vulnerable. On one of my tours in Afghanistan, we were attacked by the Regent virus, and it shut down our communications infrastructure, computer systems, and everything. And that was just with a USB stick. And you can't use USB devices in the federal government at all for that reason now. And then I learned that we have these machines where the majority of the components inside the machine are manufactured by China. Right? Well, that's a no-go. And then they're still using USB drives to transport information back and forth on them. So the vulnerability is real. And I would encourage your audience to look up Salt Typhoon. And Salt Typhoon is how China has already infiltrated our electric grid and our communications infrastructure. And that vulnerability is still there as well. It's known, it's documented. And it's also known, now DNI Tulsi Gabbard told, a month ago, something like that in a cabinet meeting with President Trump. She said, we know that adversarial nations have been in our election machines for quite some time. She said that. That vulnerability has not been fixed. And, to go back to the paper ballot initiative, when I was out canvassing, I think I remember one person just being adamantly against it, not wanting to sign.
Same when I walk knocking on doors, same thing.
Everyone else wanted it. And
You'd have some, you'd have most of them wanted the paper ballots. And most everybody didn't trust the election of 2020. Like, if you got common sense, you're not going to. And then there was a small portion that really didn't carry the way, but you didn't have a lot of them where I don't want my machines to go away.
Absolutely. I ran into one person that didn't want the machines to go away that I can recall. And there were a few that were kind of indifferent, but even when they were indifferent, they said, well, we believe the people should have a right, so I'll sign it to get it on the ballot to let people vote for it.
Sure.
And my elected officials fought us tooth and nail. And when we turned in our petition, immediately they denied it for ballot title being insufficient. Because if you can recall back, there was, I believe it was 9 counties that was trying to do the county petition like we were. And there were some out-of-state canvassers that were assisting.
And Saline was one of them. Saline, we got messed up on it.
Yeah. Well, when they declared my ballot title insufficient, I FOIA'd to get all the communications concerning my name and the paper ballot initiative. And lo and behold, we learned that with the AAC, the Arkansas Association of Counties, there was a coordinated effort to stop our efforts to get paper ballots. And they were directed to do it this way. We're going to declare their petitions insufficient based on out-of-state canvassers at first. And then when they come back in 2 years after, the courts say that they can use out-of-state canvassers because it's allowed, then we're going to go after the ballot title and declare it insufficient again. And that'll put us out to 2028. And then we can get a law on the books and take care of it, right? Well, that infuriated me because it was right there. My county clerk sent an email saying, I don't think our group used out-of-state canvassers to the extent that others did. It looks like they may have enough signatures, valid signatures. And immediately the county attorney responded with, well, we're going to have to attack the ballot title early then. And that's what they did. So we went to the circuit court and we won. And it was our county with Cleburne County. And the judge ruled in our favor and told them to, certify the petition and send it off. Well, there was a window there that the judge gave that was 72 hours. And if they waited the maximum amount of time of 72 hours, then another law would go into effect and it wouldn't allow the ballot to be on that November because it wasn't submitted in time enough. It would be on the next election in 2028. Cleburne County's clerk came back and waited the maximum amount of time to do that so that she could hit that loophole. And to the credit of my county clerk, she came back and certified the petition and sent it in. And they told us that was it, we're done. Well, about a week later, we got notified that they were going to appeal it to the Supreme Court. And so they sued us, their neighbors in this small county of Independence County, all the way to the Supreme Court just to keep a measure off the ballot to keep it out from in front of them.
They're so scared.
That's the $1 million question, right? And so thankfully the Supreme Court ruled in our favor. And that's when I started really going, there's a lot more to this. You know what I mean? There's a lot more to this than we know.
Oh, absolutely. It just smells so bad. I mean, it doesn't pass the stench test because it's just,
I can't make any.
And I don't know if they believe that 2020. Well, I think they say they believe 2020 was stolen. Okay, they got to say that the Republicans, most of them. So, but if you say something about it, Arizona, Wisconsin, well, we're not Arizona, we're not Wisconsin, we don't have these problems in Arkansas.
Yeah.
Okay. Even if you didn't, when you do, it's too late.
Yeah, exactly. That's the point, Keith, is that I truly believe that 99.9% probably of these county officials just want to do a good job, right?
Sure.
I think they do. I don't think they're trying to be nefarious or anything, but they need to realize that it's not them where the vulnerability exists. It's in the machine. And think of it this way. You were military. I mean, if if I can do something with very minimum effort to have a serious high level impact strategically on my adversary, and it costs me no boots on the ground, it costs me very little funding, it costs me very little resources. And what's going to happen to me if I get caught? If I'm China? Nothing.
Yeah.
There's the Pacific Ocean is in between us.
Right.
Why wouldn't they do that? Right. And I tell these small counties out there, like, it may not be happening to you. It may not be. We don't know. And that's another area we can get into. It may not be happening to you, but if you do the math in Arkansas, all you have to do to affect the statewide election is influence 6 counties. And that's Benton, Washington, Saline, Pulaski, Faulkner, and Craighead County.
Yeah.
If you affect 20% of the vote in those counties, you can swing any statewide election that you want to.
Oh yeah, it's the majority of the population. Yeah.
You know, well, Izard County, you know, they're not coming after you. Cleburne County, they're probably not coming after you because it's not, the numbers don't add up that way. It's not
Yeah,
significant to do it.
Yeah, there's something else about it. I don't know what their problem is, but like I know you're going to get, if you haven't already, and from the executive branch of the government and a lot of Senate and House, they don't like what you're saying. The people do, but all these, so you get a lot of pushback from, you know what I mean?
And that's what I tell them is that it's not, you can disagree with it personally all that you want to, but it's your job to be a representative of the people, and the people want it. Rasmussen did a poll. 70% of Arkansans want paper ballots.
I believe that, yeah.
70% of Republicans, and over 60% of all Arkansans want paper ballots.
No matter what, it's nonpartisan,
right? It's a nonpartisan win. So if you are representing the people, your constituents, and that number desires a certain topic, you at least have a duty to bring it before the legislature for a vote, so that we can see how our representatives are voting on it. And then we can, use our only recourse, corrective actions against them and vote them out the next cycle that it comes. But when it never comes before them and they never get to be put on record for it, there's not really an opportunity for the electorate to know where they actually stand on it. And I don't think that's proper or fair. And to me, that's them ruling us and not representing us. And that's what I'm going to change. When I become Secretary of State, I will not certify an electronic machine. I will not do it. And the people have a right to know that their vote is being taken and tabulated in the manner in which they desired it to be, with full confidence. And all of the people that paid prices in blood for us to have that right are owed that as well. That's the legacy that they left behind. And we're not doing them a service. We're not doing our children a service and our grandchildren a service by kicking the can down the road and having selections instead of elections, if that's really what's happening. Which
it's just a cheap way to do things, because they can say, well, this has been going on. There's been cheating going on that didn't make it right. I mean, but
I don't know if you ever heard this when you were in, but locks are only there to keep honest people honest.
Yeah,
criminals are going to be criminals, man. That's what they're going to try to find a way. But with machines, you can't prove it, and that's the problem. With paper balloting, when you hand mark it, right, you have a paper trail, and that ballot can be serialized, and so then you have another layer of tracing that ballot back to wherever it was, not to the person, of course, because you have anonymity when you vote, and that's proper, and we want to keep that and maintain that. But you can trace that ballot all the way to the county, to the precinct, to the poll where it was taken at. And you have that paper trail, that chain of custody, and things can add up, right, all the way through. Right now, we're not allowed to know the source code of those machines. We're not allowed to know the inner workings of those machines because it's a private company. It's proprietary knowledge. And the Arkansas Supreme Court has ruled that we're not entitled to that because it's proprietary knowledge. So you can ask any computer expert, and we testified to this down in Little Rock. David Saunier, professor from Lyon College, Dr. Andrew Appel from Princeton University, and others, they testified and said, unless you can have the source code, you cannot definitively say that every ballot was counted the way that it was supposed to be counted. Period. So, I'm not going to tolerate it. And that's,
No.
when after we got ruled after the Supreme Court ruled against us, no, ruled for us, then they started attacking the individuals. They started attacking AVII, Arkansas Voter Integrity Initiative, and Colonel Conrad Reynolds.
Oh, yeah. Unmercifully.
Yep.
Yeah. Same thing it's happening to Mike Lindell. I mean, it's just on a bigger level. He's getting they've tried to ruin his business.
Yes. And they're pretty ruthless with it.
Now what is I want to ask you this, the way I understand it, the machines won't certify our up and coming election that we have or something to that effect. Can you kind of explain that kind of briefly?
Yeah, there's two parts to this. And it goes back to another reason that I believe, Trump is kind of, he had the election stolen from him for divine providence in a way.
Mm-hmm.
Because during his first term, he did an executive order that said foreign components cannot be utilized in critical infrastructure. And that goes back to our election grid and the communications equipment and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during the Biden administration, they codified that executive order into law. And they expanded and said that voting machines in our elections are critical infrastructure. So by that law, foreign-made components in machines that are considered critical infrastructure are not allowed. Full stop. The newest executive order that President Trump did, I believe it was in March, expands upon that, and it puts, voter ID, citizen voting only, and other items in that. So
tightening things up a little, yeah.
Tightening it up a little bit, and there's going to be some more coming out, we believe, soon. It's going to be codified in law to make elections secure again, MESA Act. But these Secretary of States across the United States, they know this, and we FOIA'd Arkansas Secretary of State Cole Jester, asking for any communications related to the executive order from President Trump, and we found an email from Cole Jester, and it said, "I'm afraid we're looking at a paper ballot election this next general election in 28 or 28
26
and 26, and I don't see any other way around it." Well, he's failing to prepare, and you know as well as I do that when you fail to prepare, you're preparing to fail.
Yeah, absolutely. And we haven't heard. I'm a JP. We haven't heard anything about there's nothing coming up or anything like that.
When you're a leader of an organization like that, you have a responsibility to plan and prepare for every possible outcome. Even if it doesn't come to fruition, if you think that there's a possibility that it could be, then you have a responsibility and a duty to prepare for it. Mm-hmm. And by not doing so, you are setting the state up for a horrendous election season, because these poll workers are not going to be prepared. These county clerks are not going to be prepared. You're not going to have the paper ballot prepared for it. And it's just going to be chaos, which is, no one needs that at all. You have a duty and a responsibility to the electorate to give them a clean, honest, fair election and prepare for any scenario that may be thrown at them.
Do you know if other states are having this happen like that to them too?
I don't know. I don't
know.
No, I haven't been. I've been focusing on Arkansas and trying to make sure I stay abreast of everything with it related to it, so I can speak to it.
But I know it's a national problem or something, because it's going to end up. I mean, will they just avoid it? You think? Just ignoring
it? If you are forced to go to paper ballots and it fails miserably, that kind
it's not going to be long to this primary until everybody has to start, actually filing for office, and the campaign season starts and the primary is going to hit. It's not going to be long.
And they know how to do it. It's not like they don't, because our largest county, Pulaski County, on election day they still use paper ballots primarily because
Oh, really?
they do, because they say they can't afford to put machines in all the other smaller precincts,
Okay, yeah,
which kind of, is contradictory to their claims that paper
right.
balloting is more expensive. So on one hand, you're saying you can't do it in all these smaller precincts with machines because it's too expensive, but then you turn around and tell us that you can't do paper ballots because it's too expensive. So you're kind of talking out of both sides of your mouth there.
One problem I've seen is on the counties cooperating. Like I said, our quorum court can make a decision to do it, but it ain't happening. I'm one of the yeses, but it's
Yeah.
out, man. They ain't gonna talk about it. So you sit there and talk about it by yourself, I guess. But anyway, I don't see how it's not going to be a tremendous problem if everybody wants to ignore it. It's going to go away or something.
Yeah. It's not going to go away.
No,
Um, it's not going to go away. The people want it. And it's one of these things like they can only fight it so long. You know, we're fed up with it. The American people have seen it. They've seen the elections in Georgia and Arizona and Pennsylvania and Wisconsin, and that's not who we are. You know,
I like where you're going with all this. I think it's going to be. I think it's you know going to resonate with people.
I,
Big
I
time.
hope so. I mean, my biggest thing, my biggest mission in life as a follower of Christ is to lead my family to heaven. That full stop. That's it.
That's your job.
Everything else comes secondary, and I can't get my family to heaven and be with them by living a life of lies, right?
Right,
And
right. I understand.
that's what I tell people. Like, look, you may not like what I'm doing, and you may not like paper ballots, and you may not like my whatever it is about me, and that's fine. But I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm going to do something and then go do the opposite,
Right.
because I'm not worried about what you think and the repercussions that you could do to me. There's something else that I'm going to have to answer to at the end of
Yeah.
this on to something else, and that's a little bit longer, and I'm more concerned with that. And I love my family, I love my
Sure.
kids, I love my wife. I hope I get
Absolutely.
to spend eternity with them. So,
Yeah.
you know, come what may, this is what I'm doing. This is who I am. This is what I want to be. At the end of the day, I serve this fantastic nation that is divine providence, had a manifest destiny, and
Hmm.
exists on this earth to be a beacon of good, a beacon of what's right. And I am not going to be a member of a generation that sees its decline and something go and fall from the grace that it's in. I'm not. I'm going to stand on my 2 feet and fight every freaking day till the very last breath of me. So that when I'm gone and dead, my kids should have more freedoms than I did when I leave.
Are you? What are some other? You got some other things in the Secretary of State job that you see that you'd like
Yeah.
to change that are other than the voting? That's the big story is the voting machines and all. But besides that, is there anything you see where you could be you know improved?
Yeah, great question. Voting, of course, is the number one, because if we don't have free and fair, honest elections, then pretty much nothing else matters. But I do want to, one of the things I want to hit on too is, right now, if you're retired military with a title that you earned, right, in the military, you can't put that on the ballot. And I don't think that's proper or fair at all. Because if you're a senator or representative, you get to put that on there, right?
Right.
If you're an honorary colonel from the Chicken Club, you can put that on your ballot as as a colonel, right? But if you're a real colonel, you can't put it on there from the military. So, I mean, our Little Rock says, they support the veterans, they support all this stuff all day long, but then they won't let us put the title we earned on a ballot.
Yeah, I
For
don't
whatever.
see what that would. To be honest, I don't see what that would matter to them. I mean, if
I
they.
don't either. I guess they think it gives them an unfair advantage. People seeing a veteran on there. Potentially, whatever the case may be, I don't think it's right. You earn the title. If any titles are allowed on the ballot, then all titles, especially military titles that were earned,
Sure.
should be allowed to
Yeah.
be on the ballot. Period.
So you can put down Colonel Sanders, but you can't put an actual colonel.
Exactly. Exactly. Even, I believe, if I read it right, even if it's your nickname, you can use it. but you can't use, like me, I couldn't use First Sergeant on it. So that's one. And then one, right now, the Arkansas Veterans Hall of Fame is in a corner in the Treasury office. And I want to take that out and move it to a place of pride within the rotunda. And I do that because I want to do that because I believe that the citizens of this state should be able to go in and see Arkansans and their family members that have made sacrifices for this nation and this state, should be able to go and see them being represented appropriately, right? And to just go by, and also to have school trips and stuff go by, so it's right there. Like, look, this is the cost of freedom, and these are the amazing men and women that went before us that paid that price and sacrificed for you to have that.
We probably need an up-to-date casualty wall too.
We definitely do. It's funny. I was touring a couple of veterans parks in Central Arkansas, and I didn't see one Iraq or global war on terrorism.
Yeah,
I didn't see.
They
one.
got the. I mean, which not take away from any others, but I think each conflict needs to have one. Have it.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's part of it.
I remember growing up as a kid, going by and looking at the World War II memorial in my little town of Trumann and reading the names and seeing it up there. And it was impactful.
Now, Saline County, I have to say, our courthouse has a really nice veteran and firefighter display. It really does. It's got World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, everyone that died in Arkansas. Actually, I guess Saline County, yeah. And Judge Brumley does a good job with that, I have to say.
Yeah, that's awesome. And that I want to bring that display out and have it a place of pride there for everyone. And then I want to clean up how we do our voting rolls, because it's one thing to get your voting done right, but you got to make sure the right people are voting. And to me, there's some easy fixes to this, and that's something that I bring that my opponent doesn't and other people in this race don't. I'm detached from everything that's been going on, right? I'm not complacent. I've not been in the machine. I've not been bogged down by it. And when you come from a detached view, you see things that other people don't see, and you have different ideas.
Yeah.
They may not be the best ideas, but it's different and can spark other things and get people thinking in a different way about how to solve these problems. Right now, if you die or move from a county, there's no real definitive way to take you off the voter rolls unless you yourself go to your county clerk in your new county and maybe even your county and remove and swap yourself in that, right?
Sure.
And with the technology and things that we have today, it's too easy to make that automatic. When you die, I don't know if you know this, but when you die, within 48 hours, your bank accounts are going to be frozen. And they're going to be frozen because if you owe any taxes or you owe any other money, those people are going to get their money first, and then they'll release the funds to your loved ones.
Right. Yeah, Uncle Sam's going to get his first.
Yeah. Death and taxes. So if we can do that with a bank account, why can't we do that with the voter rolls? Not remove them completely, but just send a flag saying, "Hey, you need to check this out. Something's happening."
And then remove them if they're deceased. They need to be removed, though.
They need to be removed. And another one, in the state of Arkansas, with the electric companies, utilities companies, when you move your account to a new address, that should be a flag. Hey, check the voter rolls, see if it lines up, where they are. And also with schools, when you remove your kid out of a school district and you enroll them in another school district, well, that should be a flag. Check and see what's going on.
I think it's just been too lax, these county offices. Not saying they don't have a lot to do, but they get lax on things like that. I think they just kind of, and I don't know if they do it intentionally. They just don't do it. I don't know. They don't. And I was going to say, when you're trying to get counties to go along, say Saline County, the government, Saline County government as a whole is just totally against it. And just a few of us stragglers here and there, But if they take offense, the bad thing, and I've had to defend this before, is when you start questioning the system we have, they start taking it personal, and that's where you got to get past that, because they think you're accusing them of actually stealing. Well, what I say is it's had nothing to do with our counties, our people that work our voting machines. Man, I vote. I was a precinct captain on a voting machine during the election before I ran. And these people work hard, and they do a good job. But everybody wants to tend to make it sound like you're attacking them, and you're not. It's after it's left Arkansas, it's left our county when this happens. But have you noticed that, where they take offense and then they kind of bow up? But when you're not even really talking about them personally, or personally doing their job, or what have you,
I have, and it's unfortunate. It really is, because you're absolutely right. They do work hard and they want to do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
And I wish they wouldn't put up that wall for it being personal, because it's not personal. And I try to explain it to them this way. Arkansas has one of the lowest voter turnouts in the nation.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons it does is people don't trust the election and the results and the method. And it's not you, it's the machines. So why don't we give the people what they want, give them confidence back in elections, and maybe, we can bring that voter turnout up a little bit.
Yeah, I think not, but they just ignored what happened in 20. That well, it's not, didn't happen here. Well, just because Republicans all win, they'll say that too. Republicans all won, so how fixed can it be? Well, that's not what the deal's about.
Well, the thing is, how many of our actual representatives are actually Republican? That's just my opinion, though.
Well, that's another story.
That too, Keith. But think of it this way: the general elections in Arkansas don't really matter for that part. It's the primaries.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So that's where your candidate can be selected at. You don't have to worry about the general.
Yeah, not right now, not yet. No.
It's Republican.
Especially in our county, it's ain't no way.
Yeah, same here.
Yeah,
you can't win in most of the counties or a statewide race in Arkansas unless you have an R next to your name.
Unless you're in Pulaski County, some parts of Pulaski County you can get by, or a lot of it, and then Jefferson County and some other county, in the east and stuff, but not enough to. It's not enough to sway the state government. So.
Nope. And again, I go back to: are we being represented, or are we being ruled? If the people want it, you have a duty as a representative to at least enact the will of the people. And I think a lot of them have forgotten that, or just don't want to do it for whatever reason. Maybe they think they know better. Maybe they think they have some information that's better than us. And that was another sticking point to me. We brought world-renowned cybersecurity experts to Arkansas with an open invitation for any elected official and journalists to come and listen to them. And the only elected official that showed up, Wayne Long.
Who was it?
Wayne Long.
Oh yeah. Well,
and we did two separate meetings. We did one down in Little Rock, open invitation, and we did one in Batesville, open invitation. And even in Independence County, when this was about to be on the ballot, and all the elected officials could come and get educated from a world-renowned cybersecurity expert, not one of them showed up.
It's like they're scared to know. They're scared they're going to find out something different than what they think.
Yeah, I mean,
or that somebody's told them. That's a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, they are being told. I mean, they're being told by ES&S, and they're being told by other people that all the bad with paper ballots, and they're getting fed to it all the time. And there was some shenanigans with paper ballots way back when, right?
And there can be. But,
and there can be.
But it's still, but it won't be from China.
No, it won't be from China. And your ability to get caught and found out with a paper trail is a lot more. And I think, they should be wearing cameras, and cameras should be on the ballots 24/7 during the election. They should be in the vault where the ballots are being stored overnight. And they should be in the room where everything's taking place during the day. They should be in the entryways, the hallways, the entrances of the buildings, 24/7 recorded, no matter what. And in that way, anytime someone comes in and out, it's on video. So if there's some shenanigans that take place, your likelihood of getting caught just increases.
Of course, there were shenanigans on film in 2020. I mean, not in Arkansas, but it was somewhere else. I don't remember where it was. Georgia, where they're just shoving the boxes. I mean, they got caught, but it didn't matter. It still didn't matter. It don't matter. That's not enough votes to matter.
And Keith, do you know who was ranked #1 by the Heritage Foundation in 2020 for election security?
No.
Georgia. Georgia was ranked #1 by the Heritage Foundation. And now Heritage Foundation has ranked Arkansas #1 this year. And all the elected officials in Little Rock are praising it for all that. But, I point to them, the Heritage Foundation comes in and they look at your voter ID laws and they look at other things like that, but they don't look at how you actually conduct the election, right? So they're grading you to the test. They're teaching you to the test. They're not testing your ability and productivity on the output of it. And Georgia is still ranked #4. #4. So that's not something that I would be
see all that happening in Georgia. Georgia's always been a good state. A lot of good people in Georgia. That Atlanta, man, it screws Georgia up bad.
It's the same story repeated all across the nation in major democratically ran.
Mm-hmm. Those metropolitan areas will just, well, I mean, take California. Yeah. There's a lot of people in the Central Valley that are real conservative,
Mm-hmm.
but not enough
to
overcome San Diego, San Francisco, Oakland, Los Angeles, Long Beach, and go on and on.
Yep, rinse and repeat, right? But no matter.
Fortunately, Little Rock's not big enough. Fortunately, Little Rock is not big enough to overcome the state, or we would have a problem. But that's Northwest Arkansas will overrun Central Arkansas someday, in my opinion.
Yeah, the only constant is change, and that's why we got to get ahead of this before we get to that point when we turn into an Atlanta or we turn into a California where we are being completely dominated by one geographical area and their belief structure and things that they want to do, and everyone else in the state has a right to be represented and heard as well too, and that's how the only way that we're going to be able to get to that is with paper balloting.
Hey, Brian, I actually got a question in the chat real quick. Do you support closed primaries?
Yes. I mean, why would you have an opponent player playing in your game, on your team?
I mean, yeah. Closed primary.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. It was passed, but they ignored it. We're going to go back to RPA, man. They just, it was passed and they just said, we're not doing it. So how about that stuff?
Again, are we being ruled or are we being represented?
Being ruled. I mean, really, at state level, we aren't.
Well, what's the point?
We're not really being ruled. We're being ignored completely. That's not what happened at that meeting. We were just completely ran over.
Yeah.
In the meeting, but they got ran over at the convention and they didn't like it. So then they had their little small meeting to run over everybody. Yeah. We're getting off on another subject.
We're not sore about that at all.
You have every reason to be.
Because that, they're a problem with, they're probably behind, in the Hammer, because they want the establishment guys,
man. Yeah.
But they've shown they don't go along with what the people want. They don't care what the people want. They just know what their little executive council wants.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a story as old as time, right? Those in power want to keep power.
Yeah.
And influence. I don't want to be a politician.
And that's another good thing. You're not a politician.
I'm not a politician. And when I get in and I clean up the mess and I get it codified and solidified, I want to go on about my merry business and come back to my sleepy old town of Batesville, and y'all can keep on keeping on because I'm done. You know, and that's the way the founders intended it, right?
Right.
Like it's a citizen-run government, and everyone takes their turn to get it done. We were not ever designed to have 30, 40, 50-year politicians in office.
Well, you know, George Washington, his choice of careers, I read somewhere, was planner, then soldier, then politician.
Yeah.
It was not the other way around.
And it served us well for a very long time.
Yeah. So, but that's how most of them looked at it, I think, and intended. Now it's become it's just a mess. It's just a mess.
They studied all the great governments in history, and they found that common thread. The Roman Republic was great and strong up until they started having career politicians, career servants, emperors.
All fell.
The Greeks, same thing with the Greeks.
Get too big for the britches.
Yeah, and they tried to put safeguards around it and to keep that out, not have that problem. And we've slowly just eroded that away to where
money,
now you got
money.
Well, I mean, you had what was her name from California that was in a nursing home, dying and on hospice, and she was still leading a chair somehow.
Feinstein, was that Feinstein?
Yeah.
Diana Feinstein or whatever.
You got Mitch
leading the heart
McConnell.
Liberal there.
Mitch McConnell just goes full space cadet.
Oh, he's
mouth wide open, no clue what he's doing, but he's still, a senior senator.
He's as bad as they are. I mean, he's just worthless as ever. I mean, that's the one we got to get out of here. We had Chase McDowell last week. He's running for against French Hill. You've heard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He was. You're saying, man, we got to get these career dudes out of here that don't want to do anything.
It's time for a new look.
Hey, Brian, I got another question in the chat.
Yep.
It's another thing about closed primaries. How would you think you'd go about getting closed primaries?
Well, unless I'm the chair senior in the RPA, I mean, that's within the Republican Party. That's their rule set. They set those rules. So there's not too much I can do about it.
You can promote it,
I'm going to promote it. I'm going to use whatever influence I can on it, and I will be very, very boisterous against those in power that don't allow that, and I won't stop talking about it. That I'll do everything that I can do to influence and put pressure to get them to do the right thing on closed primaries.
Right, I got more questions coming in. How will you staff the SOS office? I'm not familiar with that.
Secretary of State's office. So
okay, yeah, I knew that. Sorry about that.
No worries. So I've been looking into this a little bit, and I believe that there's some contractors, and with contracts, of course, you can expire a contract and hire new contractors. But there's some state government employees that are there that you really can't just fire necessarily and go away, because they're secretarial staff and other parts of the staff that they're apolitical. They're there to do a job that's not related to political business and stuff, and they should have a right to say. But if they are an employee of the Secretary of State's office, whose duty is to implement the guidance and directives of the Secretary of State's office, then either they boisterously show me that they can implement that guidance in that direction, or they're gone. And so to whoever asked that question out there, after I get in, toss your application in there, and I'm sure we'll have some seats that need to be filled. Because we're gonna need some.
That was Mike Schnakel.
Mike Schnakel.
Mike, dust off that resume, buddy.
You know Mike?
Yeah.
Yep. He's no grunt too.
Yep. Yes, he is. But yeah.
Another question? Is that it? Or was you reading another one?
That's the last question I got.
Oh, okay. All right.
Back to the Roman Republic.
Well, it goes. That's a good point, because if the majority of the people put a person in power, then the ones that are underneath them have a duty to implement that vision and the desires of the electorate and what they want. And if they're getting in the way of that, they got to go. I'm not going to play.
That's the way it's got to be.
I'm sorry, but that's the way it's going to be. And I'm not going to be in there messing around and playing around and trying to mentor them, teach them, coach them to do the right thing. You're going to get one shot. That's it. And when I know that you're not going to implement the will of the electorate of the people of Arkansas, then we'll see you later. You know,
And we ain't paying for the therapy afterwards either.
no, and you know,
No safe place in government.
Nope.
no, not unless you're going to do the will of the people, and do what the person that holds the chief executive of that office and that department tells you to do. I mean, I have the Secretary of State he should have that, and you know, he should have that luxury to be able to confidently be able to implement the desires of what the people voted him in there to go and do. Just like President Trump.
A lot of people like to, use it. People in the past have used it basically as a stepping stone to governor or something,
I don't want to be governor.
Oh yeah, but I'm just saying, they don't even care about the job. Is what I'm trying. I mean, and you seem to be passionate about being Secretary of State, not just having the title and whatever.
It's this way, Keith. For a brief moment in time, I'm going to be the steward of a seat that the people of Arkansas own. That's it. It's not my seat. For a brief moment in time, I have stewardship. And with stewardship comes responsibility and accountability, right? And I'm not going to sacrifice my integrity or my honor by being in there and doing ill with them, period. And when I get done and I come back to Arkansas, I'm going to lay next to my bride. And I'm going to have to look at her every night. Yeah. And I want her to look back at me knowing that I did the right thing, that she still has that twinkle in her eye when she looks at me. And that way I can live the rest of my life in peace. And my wife is not going to be trying to live in no governor's mansion. Trust me. Get to know her.
It has been that's, I think, to me, those people that are in those 7 seats, executive seats, have you noticed how they like to swap around, like, okay, it's your turn. You're going to be Secretary of State, I'm going to be treasurer, It just kind of, when they run their 8 years here, I counted it up. You can do like probably 24 or 30 years of service, just swapping, going to one and being 8 years, another 8 years, another 8 years. You can just swap around those 6 positions and make a career out of it. And I've seen them do that.
Yeah. It's not a bad gig if you can get it. And if you want it.
That's what we got to get away from. And I know you're not into that. So that's what we got to get away from is this, and you have like they're entitled. Once they get into that, they're entitled,
Yep. And that's
kind of like no, never mind. Go
I
ahead.
think Hammer feels like he's entitled to the position, kind of.
Maybe. But
well, that's why he was making that little nest egg earlier in the legislative session with all the bills he was making.
All right, before we go, he did everything. He did not do himself any favors, I don't think, by doing what he did, by passing all those things to shut people up on petitions. He didn't do himself any favors, I don't think, because that's just blatant. And then trying to set up I'm going to call it a brown shirt group within the Secretary of State's office to round up people who don't do petitions right or something, I mean, what is up with that?
It's a technique.
I mean, it's so blatant. Oh, I got to set me up a Gestapo before I get there.
Yeah, it's not the best look in my view, but
yeah,
they have to be law enforcement trained, carry firearms. I mean, and then it says not a big deal. If you're carrying a firearm and you can arrest people, that's a big deal.
That's a big deal.
And it was all over ballots, or not ballots. It was all over petitions.
It was.
If you signed that petition wrong and you didn't read it right to someone, they can come get you. That's ridiculous.
Well,
I'm glad that one did not pass. Now the other ones they did pass, but that one at the end, I'm glad it did not pass.
Yeah,
that was
that one at least people got sanity to throw that crap out.
sadly, I think it's going to be impossible for another county to do what Independence did.
Absolutely. He screwed us on, if you do a county petition to get something on the county ballot, which I would like to see Saline County about, and that's about the library millage. But anyway, but on a state level, man, they can throw it out for any. They basically left it in there where we can throw it out for any discretionary reasons.
I believe that's the case with the county petitions now too.
Probably is.
I believe.
Well, the worst part is they also put the burden on you. If you're given trying to get the petition out, they give you so many hurdles that you have to ask the person to sign for and show their ID, and it's a harassment pretty much.
Well, I would remind people if I was campaigning against him for Secretary of State, I would remind people how he took their power and their voice away and a stroke up the pen.
It's pretty ironic that the state motto is resident populace, right? The people rule.
Mm-hmm.
How can the people rule if they can't redress their government for grievances in any way, even at the county level now?
I think he gave you a lot of ammunition this session myself.
Well, I won't interfere when people are being caloric that are against me. So
I mean, and he makes it so obvious. I guess he thinks just nobody's paying any attention at all. I mean, to not see how you're trying to set your office up for some big deal,
Well, the problem is a lot of people aren't paying attention. There aren't a lot of people actually focused on this. No one knows how this stuff works most of the time.
yeah, by design. If you can make it difficult to understand, difficult to know, and then the punishments are extreme and severe, it's just not worth. That your average factory worker, farm worker, teacher, banker, they don't have enough time to dig through all that stuff, and it's so overwhelming. Like, why would I waste time on that when I got a business, when I got this, and I got a family at home, and I got kids? Why am I gonna focus on my most precious resource, which is my time, on something like this?
Sure.
I've got better things to do.
I know I do this myself, and I got kids, I got a job, and I got all this, and then all it does is pester my wife.
Well,
Yep.
I don't have no kids that are kids. More y'all's age. But anyway, have you gotten a lot of good feedback?
Feedback's been phenomenal all across the state, everywhere I've been. It's probably been the funnest thing about this process is getting out and meeting all these people. And we got some fantastic people in the state.
Oh, yeah.
We really do, man. We got some characters out there, and I get tickled all the time, being around. Today I was in Conway speaking at lunch, and it was a fiery group, and they weren't afraid to hold their tongue and say exactly what they were thinking.
Walker County's pretty in there,
The chairman of this group is a concerned citizens group. He took
You
it
didn't have
off.
Cabin in there heckling, did you? Conway. Jimmy Cabin, you didn't have him in there heckling at you, did you?
No, I didn't see him in there. But he just respectfully took everything everybody was saying and like, hey, we can agree to disagree, or you may not like this right now, but sorry, this is the way we're going. But I heard you, and that's the way that it should be. They were heard, and right now that's the problem that I see across the state is citizens are not being heard, period. And as Americans, as Arkansans, as citizens of this republic, we have that right to be heard. Our elected officials,
When
they
they
don't
join
have
the
the right to say.
political, when they join the political committees, county committees and the RPA, then they start seeing how they're not being listened to. That's for sure.
Absolutely. And that's been the common thread. Everywhere I've gone, that's the same thing they all say. Like, no one listens to us. They don't care. They just do whatever they want to do.
Yeah.
They spend billions of dollars on a prison.
And what's bad is sometimes they get in that mood where it doesn't matter what I do. I hate people to do that.
There is
You
some of
can't
that
do
where they're
that.
throwing their hands up, which is
Yeah.
sad. And that's what I ask
Quit
people.
voting,
Like, you
quit
can't
voting.
change if you leave, if you quit.
I just can't do that. I can't give up like that. That's
No.
totally giving up when you just, I used to work with guys, I say, well, it don't matter who I vote for. They're going to do what they want to do. No, you can't do that.
That's what they want.
Yeah.
They want
what
you.
they're
I can
expecting.
understand how people think that do it, but you can't, that's giving up when you do that,
I had one elected official tell me in Pulaski County, and I couldn't believe he was so bold to say it out loud. He said, well, you can't have a permanent upper class without a permanent lower class. And I was just,
Well, that's kind of philosophical there. That's pretty good.
wow. That's how you feel. That's how you think. Like, I
That's,
can't get into that mindset.
yeah, that's not a little too deep for me. That's not realistic.
No. And you can see by the way they treated Searcy County. When they didn't toe the line and they didn't do what Little Rock wanted them to do, what they do? They harassed them, they bullied them, and then they banned them for 14 years.
What's that about? I mean, that's
so
they're just doing what they want to do. Joseph Woods, I mean, it's just like
this is the Arkansas State Elections Commission Board that's doing this to them. And
that's
what
who
is
did that.
That's who did that. So this is Searcy County, their quorum court voted to go to paper ballots.
Mm-hmm.
And they did the primary, what was it, two and a half years ago now, was their first time ever doing paper ballots. And they had some things they had to figure out and work on. They had some issues. But then in the general election, they fixed everything and they had 100% accuracy on it. And they utilized some equipment from AVII. And the equipment was used to enhance transparency. It was video monitoring equipment and TVs. So they had these big flat screen TVs up on the wall so that everyone could see every ballot coming through and being counted. And that way they weren't crowding around the people
looking down on it.
And that equipment was leased to them for $100. Right? The state board contended that the arrangement effectively constituted an improper donation. Right? And said the value of the services exceeded the nominal fee, and thus was breaching laws and private contributions to election operations. But that same offer that was made to Searcy County was made to every county in the state that went to paper ballot. Right? There was no ill will. I mean, it was
just trying to find something to.
And what does that do to influence the election? What does that do to hold sway over anyone?
No, it just hurts. It just hurts. Yeah,
all it was doing was showing the people what was really going on. And so they banned them for 14 years. And on August 6th is the next meeting where they're going to hear, and maybe they'll do away with that ban and do right by the election commissioners of Searcy County.
14 years, my God, that's
setting
a generation.
Setting an exclamation point on people to not do what they did. Look at what can happen to you. They didn't break any rules. They didn't break any laws. They didn't have a huge error in the action. It wasn't like the county clerk down in Pulaski County.
No. They always do these crazy numbers, like when Jennifer Lancaster threw her out for 20 years. But 20 years, I mean, my God. I mean, gee, crazy.
They must think they're Disney putting on copyright terms until like the prince dies or something like that.
Oh, yeah, they're ridiculous. They're just power hungry, and they're power. They just got too much power, to be honest.
Well, it's up to us to take it back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I need your.
I thought we'd done it that day. I thought we'd done it that weekend. We were charging hard, and then they just turn around and have a little meeting 2 weeks from now with the council and just say, "Oh, we're ignoring that."
Yeah.
What do you mean?
I don't understand that one either.
I think that the courts backed them up that it wasn't their business to interfere or some crap like, I don't know. It's pretty well got away with it,
Yep. Yeah, they did. But it's temporary. This too shall pass.
You know what? To me, it all catches up, though.
It does. Exactly, and it will.
Catch up.
And I guarantee you they're not sleeping well. Because they know. They know they're not.
They won't look you in the face when they're in the situation.
Well, we saw at the last state committee meeting how they acted, and they didn't even let the district chairs give their reports.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I heard about that. Of course, we don't have a committee anymore, but I heard about that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not going to last. I mean, when leadership rules with an iron fist like that, and they continue moving in such manners as they have been moving, it never lasts. It doesn't.
Well, they don't welcome MAGA people or nothing, any kind of people that are real conservative and true Republican, and because they don't go by their platform either. But
Right.
they don't like these people that have their own ideas coming in.
I mean,
Well, it's a pyramid scheme. They don't care about that.
Yeah.
Well,
Crazy thought, right? Letting the people decide the destiny of their own lives and children's lives. I mean, what a novel concept.
yeah.
You
Well,
know?
Bryan, you got anything else you want to add to your campaign, and throw out your coordinates there on people to? I know you probably got a donation one, and you got a website, and y'all need to help out on the sergeant here, Sergeant Norris, First Sergeant Norris, and help him along, because I tell you what, statewide campaign ain't cheap.
It ain't cheap.
He's gonna need all the help he can get.
So where can we find Jack? Because I don't even think Jackie sent me that.
What's that?
I don't think Jackie sent me that. That was my bad. I didn't ask for that at all. So where can we find you at?
You can find me at bryannorris.org, and you can find me on Facebook at Bryan Norris, Norris for Arkansas, and you can also find me on X at Bryan Lee Norris. And nothing's free in this life. You get what you pay for, right? And I'm not just asking for your vote. I want to earn your votes. Call me. Ask me to come talk to any group. I'll come to your house. I'll speak to 2 or 3 people. I don't care. I've not said no to one person, and I'm not going to say no. I may have to book you down the road, and it may not be the exact date that you want, but I'll get to you, because first come, first serve, and I'm not gonna back out on an agreement that I've already made with someone else. So I want to earn your votes, and I need your support. I need your financial contributions that you can make. I need you to share me on social media to get that state name recognition out there. And I need people to volunteer to be door knockers and flyer givers and all that stuff. I mean, my campaign is a true grassroots movement. I don't have any billionaires backing me. I don't have any of that. I sold my pickup truck and bought a Tesla so that I could be more advantageous.
Here we go. There's your
yeah.
Now here's your donation page right here.
That were coming to me, because a Tesla uses the third of the energy to get everywhere I need to go. And so I'm able to save money and resources to have the maximum effect. I'm putting everything I have into this campaign. I'm giving you everything I got. I can promise you that no one's going to outwork me. They may work as hard as me, but they're not going to outwork me. And I'm going to do everything that I say I'm going to do. And if I'm not, you can call me out on it, and we'll have a conversation about it, and we'll talk about it. I'm not going to shy away from you. I want to be your representative. I want to be your Secretary of State, and I'm going to fill that seat for a brief moment in time, and then I'm going to give it back to the next generation and let them go forth and do great things. That's going to be my legacy.
Sounds good. Here's your website.
Yep, that's my website. There's a donate link on there. There should be there should be a video that pops up too. And
that's another thing I wanted to mention that you hadn't mentioned. You got some pretty hard hitter people that have endorsed you. Hey, bring that up, Kevin, with the names here. He has the people endorsed him.
Where's it at?
Right there. Well, General Michael Flynn, my fellow CEO Mike Lindell, Colonel Conrad Reynolds, who we all know, retired. Justin Michael Gableman, retired. Senator Wendy Rogers, I've met her out of Arizona, state senator there, and Senator Mark Fincham. I believe he ran for Secretary of State, didn't he? Or
no, he's
Arizona.
He's Arizona. He's a state senator in Arizona.
I thought he was good. I thought I'd heard something about him running for.
He might. I haven't heard that yet.
But I probably don't know what I'm talking about there. But anyway, these are all some pretty hard hitters, especially old Michael Flynn. I love that guy.
Yeah, he's a good guy. He was the DCG out in the Indo-Pacific PACOM when I was there. He didn't know me or anything like that.
I'll follow him anywhere.
Yeah. it's kind of cool to come full circle and have an endorsement with that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So, but y'all get out there and help Bryan, because he's not a career politician. I mean, like a lot of them are. And he's going to rattle the cages up there, I think, make some changes where they need to be made.
I am very comfortable with uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And
I got you. Yes. I got you. Yep. So Kevin, are you knocking that down or?
Oh yeah, I'm in a minute. Yeah. So first off, I want to say, guys, Bryan, thank you for showing up, and thank you for running for this position. We really need someone like you in this position. And go visit all his sites, and if you can, make a donation, push this video out, like and share and subscribe. I want you guys to go to Arkansas First. We got a whole bunch of articles up here. We got a whole bunch of other podcasts, and we got our own Facebook page. We got the Saline Hardliners Facebook page. We just need you guys to get out there and push the word out, because we need Bryan out there.
and we need you guys out there too. And thanks for having me on. And thanks for
Appreciate it.
I've been
And
following and reading your guys' stuff for a while now back
Oh,
then.
thanks.
And it gets me fired up sometimes. I mean, I love it when I see my fellow
you
countrymen
got some
getting out.
interesting people on.
You know, I like it. I like confrontation a little bit. I like seeing people willing to roll their sleeves up and do the work that's needed to be done. And
And we don't like to be stuffy on here, too much stuffy.
no,
I
I like it.
But yeah, y'all follow Bryan Norris, and hey, if you don't mind, we might follow up with you throughout the campaign season there and see how you're doing. You know what I mean? Just kind of people we've talked to kind of follow up your campaign, how's it's going, and all that kind of good stuff.
And I think you one better. After we win, I'm going to come back, and you can stay with me. You can have a monthly sit rep with me as a Secretary of State.
Sit rep. Now you got to tell the civvies what a sit rep is.
Situation report. We'll go through everything we've done that previous month and give you a full report so you know what's going on.
Yep.
I'll commit to that.
As long as they didn't safety
Okay,
report,
gas
I'm
reps.
tired of those.
All right, Bryan, it's been great having you on. Appreciate you coming. And Saline County Hardliners is out.